Hello, thank you for being in this session. I'm Anna Solemena. I work at the European Commission. And because all of you work on languages, I think you will be interested to know what Europeans think about languages. How do they use them? Why not? So I'm going to be presenting mainly the results of a big survey that we conduct like every 12 years, more or less. So although it's 2024, it's still very fresh. Europeans and their languages. You also have outside the room some infographics that you can take home. I will walk you through some of that. But there's a lot more results on our website, and they are all open, so you can play with the charts and the Excels and so on, and look for the information that is more relevant to you. Let me give you just a tiny bit of context of why we are doing this. So I work on multilingualism policy in the European Commission. The European Union is a very multilingual animal, so 24 official languages, a lot more languages spoken in our regions, around 60 more. We think that multilingualism is a key competence for lifelong learning and a key competence for the 21st century. Our member states agree with that, so there is a council recommendation that talks about that. More recently, just November last year, we published a cultural compass. Of course, language and culture are quite interlinked, in which reaffirm our commitment to continue promoting and defending linguistic diversity. Our most relevant piece of legislation on languages is a council recommendation of 2019. I hope you're familiar with the objectives. We would like all young people to leave school knowing very well the language of schooling, plus 2 more to some degree of fluency. And also value all language diversity and use it as a language resource. This is very important. I mean, we've been talking about inclusion during these 3 days. 13.5% of the children in Europe, as an average, speak a different language at home than the language of schooling. So we are dealing with very multilingual classrooms. We need to take account of that. And also for evaluators, it's something you always have to keep in mind. You know, it's very important for teachers and for evaluators. If we want to know how well we are progressing towards the objectives, we need data, of course. So what we know is that right now in the classrooms, while mostly in general education, everyone learns a foreign language, only 60% are learning 2, which is the objective, so we are not there. It's a lot worse for vocational education and training. When we look about the levels, not every member state sets a level, so these are just some of them, but usually they are expecting a B2 level by the end of secondary, or B1 in case of the second foreign language. That's just to say what is more or less in the educational system. But then, what people, citizens, and students think about languages, what are the levels, the feelings, etc. So now I'm going to talk to you about these results. This is a survey that we conduct from the age 15 up in all member states. And so the previous one, this is 2024, and the previous one was in 2012. We've asked the same questions so that we can see the trends. So first about the attitudes. Very, very positive attitudes towards multilingualism. So 86% of citizens think that everyone should at least know another language. Very, very high result. Another important result about language diversity, 84% thought that regional and minority languages should be protected. So even the smaller languages matter. I think Europeans understand that this is something close to citizens' hearts. Improving language skills should be a policy priority, 76%, also a good result. A little lower regarding should we know more than one foreign language? That would be our objective, 2 at least. A little less, but still 69%. Okay, and how did they score? So we asked them, how many languages can you have a conversation in? Like, can you have a conversation in a foreign language? And about 60% of citizens said they could. This is 3 percentage points up since the last time we asked in 2012, so a good trend. But even better, if we look at the young people, so that's people 15 to 24 years old, they had gone 5 percentage points up to 79%. So 4 in 5 of the young people think they can have a conversation in another language. It's not bad. What about 2? Well, there we are not doing so well. 28% of general population, 39% of the young people. And because you are evaluators, I added a little bit of data here. When we ask them how good you think you are in that language that you speak, only 20% think they are very good, 35% think they are good, 46% thinks it's basic. So, okay, they can have a conversation, but a lot of them feel it's going to be a basic conversation. So there's still a lot of work ahead, let's say, if we are thinking about multilingual global population. Of course, a lot of diversity also among member states. So here you see in the map, the darker countries, nearly everyone is bilingual, and the lighter countries, not that many. So variety. Most learned languages, it's going to come as no surprise for you that 47%, so half of the population, thinks that they can have a conversation in English. That is 5 percentage points up. For young people, 70%, that's 9 percentage points up. The second language would be French, but it comes at a big distance, 11 and 14 for the young people. German, Spanish, lower for general population, but a little higher for young people. So let's say that it's maybe a little more trendy, 3 percentage points up. And the fifth would be Italian, and afterwards it drops really to the smaller languages. So English clearly stands out. We had a question, what do you think is the most important language for your personal development? It clearly won by a big distance the other 3, German, French, and Spanish. We also asked, what do you think is the most important language for children to learn? And again, it came at a big distance. By the way, 98.3% of the European children are learning English at school. So that's to say that it is a different category. We also asked about how do you use languages, in which situations you use them. What scored higher was, I'm just checking that I have the same, I don't see the numbers very well. So most used was on holidays abroad, 50%. There could be several answers on the internet, watching films, television, listening to radio. This had gone up a lot in these 12 years. So this is something that citizens do a lot more now than before. Then communicating with friends, watching the news, etc. We asked them, how did they learn? What was the most used method? And still school is the most used, like about half of the people have learned in this way. But one that is coming up very strongly is teaching yourself by watching TV, films, listening to the radio. You know that now young people are, all of us really are looking a lot at streaming and this kind of thing. And this is also a way in which one learns languages, in fact. And this was something that changed since the last time. Talking formally to a native speaker would be the third. And then talking about how you watch movies or other content. We've seen also an important change of trend. So we asked Europeans, do you prefer dubbing or subtitling? And until last time, they preferred dubbing. Now they start to prefer subtitling, and that is a virtuous cycle. No, they understand better, so they prefer watching in the original version, and that also makes them be better at languages, right? So it's still only 53%, but it's a change of trend, and also we have to take account of cultural habits here. You know, so some countries have always dubbed, some countries have never dubbed, and that is something that takes a lot of weight. But the streaming obviously is changing things, because there you select what you want to do, if you want to watch content or what. Here. Favorite methods to learn. 34% here, they could only have one choice. 34% think that traditional language lessons at school or university is the preferred method. Second was talking informally to a native speaker. Frequent visits to a country where the language is spoken. Group language lessons, and teaching yourself by watching TV. And then now I realized that I didn't see very well the graphic last time, and I was talking to you about what was mostly used, which is here, when I should have been talking to you about the main advantages that they see in language learning. So that's the graphic there. So one is, of course, work in another country. Things to do with work is a big one. Either you work in another country, either you think it's going to help you to have a promotion or to use it to have a better job. That's one thing. But the second one, and very important with 45%, was to be able to understand people from other cultures. So the culture element is still one that people learning languages value very much. And then there are the holidays, of course. So I'm going forward again now. Yep. This is going into just a couple of detailed results for illustration. I will not dwell on it, but 31, so like a third of Europeans actually use their foreign language every day. I think it's quite a lot, actually, if you think of it. So just a little data there. But then you have 21% who have never learned a language at all, and 48% who took that all haven't recently and don't intend to. So just motivations. Motivations, well, one is to do with money. I would learn if it was for free. But mostly, people get motivated when they see themselves having a use for the language. They are going to travel, they are going to work abroad. Mobility is a big motivation, or you have friends that you want to talk to, etc. And then things that discourage, well, I'm not motivated enough, I am bad at languages, I don't have time, this kind of things. So I'm going to go straight into the conclusions. Citizens believe that multilingualism is a very important skill and value language diversity. This we can be happy with. There is a good evolution, if we think regarding last time, on learning English, but we need to progress further on other languages. Clearly, if we want to go to 1+2, we are not there. We notice there's more learner agency in seeking to learn languages. And like I was saying about the movies, but also use of internet, gaming. We see that in particular young people are learning elsewhere than in the classroom a lot, mainly English again. Multilingual classrooms are a reality in Europe. Every time we measure, the numbers only increase regarding diversity. So teachers and assessors need to take account of this diversity, accommodate for it. It's very important to teach the language of schooling, but also preserving all home languages and use them as an asset. We are watching carefully, and today we've had many sessions on that. AI impact on language learning can be a wonderful tool, also for assessing. I've been in several sessions where, like every time we see AI assessing rather well or similar to the humans, we have to watch that closely, and also the effect on motivation. Like, okay, if there are so many tools that can translate or speak for me, do I have to make the effort of learning a language? So something that's going to still be very important in the coming years. And there are a lot of Erasmus Plus projects also looking into that. Coming up, results next year of the PISA for foreign languages. First time that there was a PISA for foreign language. This is an OECD exercise to which the Commission has been closely associated since the very beginning, because we need to measure what's happening, and this is a good methodology to compare member states and the level that kids have. So Erasmus Plus, our key tool for education. Remember, you can use it not just for mobility, which is a wonderful way to motivate people to learn and to practice languages, but also for cooperation projects. And I have heard the results of several Erasmus Plus projects these days that were very interesting. So remember that you can always find a partner or two and look into that area of language learning or assessing that you need to dig further into. It's a wonderful tool. We are cooperating for many years with ECML of the Council of Europe on many areas. And we published a motivation manifesto, because I talked about motivation before last year, which is a little bit as a tool for teachers, for evaluators, for everyone, on reflection on how to motivate students and what are the aspects that are important there. We have the European Day of Languages every year to celebrate language learning. This year's theme is going to be inclusion. We share the motto with the Council of Europe, because it's a joint initiative, Languages Unite. So because inclusion was also very present these days in this conference, you are invited. 26th of September is a Saturday, so we are going to do it the following week on the day of translation, the 30th. You are all invited because it's a virtual event, so wherever you are, you can connect. And we will be also showcasing materials and initiatives that can be relevant. So thank you, and I am open to any questions that you may have. And as I said, do pick up your little statistics outside. Thank you very much.
Maybe I will try to make a question. We know that CFR was designed to be inclusive, but we see that many learning and assessment systems require literacy. How do you see the future of CFR education for those who have little literacy or no literacy at all, and especially in migrants section? Maybe it is not a question for you, but you are dealing with European.
My knowledge of CFR is limited compared to other people in the room. I have Nick here in front of me, for instance. But I think that when dealing with multilingual classrooms, with diversity, with migration, what is very important is teacher training. This is our big must-do in Europe. For teaching according to the CFR is one thing, but teaching according to diversity. When we ask teachers what they feel less prepared for, like, is it a pedagogy thing, or is it what they feel least prepared for is multiculturality and multilingualism. If you rank all the things, one that scored highest, for instance, is digital, like they are not. But even more than that is multiculturality and multilingualism. They have not been trained for this diversity that they find in the classrooms. And although we have been working with the Council of Europe on that for many years, it takes a long time to trickle down to every individual teacher. Even if you have free resources, etc., it is a huge task. It is a huge task.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I actually, maybe this is more a comment than a question. I did a small little study a couple of years ago about how bilingualism and plurilingualism affect the motivation for learning a third language. And I remember I studied this, the barometer, it was from 2012, the last publication, or maybe it was the 2019. And as you also showed on the slide, the northern, the Scandinavian countries, I'm from Sweden myself, we have very positive attitudes toward bilingualism. Everybody speaks Swedish, but I remember there was also statistics about a third language, and we weren't as optimistic about like the need of knowing a third language. And there was a certain shift also in Southern European countries. This was the percentage was a bit higher. So I think this is also, when talking about plurilingualism and the challenges for teachers, it's very much related to like everybody's view on plurilingualism, like which languages. Which languages are important to know. And I think in many countries, and especially in the North and in Scandinavian countries, English is like the only like high value language nowadays, sadly.
Yes, no, I agree with your reflection. It's what we see every day. English, children, parents, etc. You don't have to convince them anymore about the importance of learning it. They realize that in today's connected multilingual world, it's important. The other languages is something else. And also with the advent of these technologies that translate so easy for you, that you can talk any other language, and in real time there is some program that is translating and makes you look like you're speaking it. So yeah, this is tricky.
It goes like both ways. It's not only like the migrant classroom for the migrants in the Swedish classrooms. It's also for the
Swedish themselves
learning a foreign language. So yeah, it's like all over.
Also, sometimes we ask children to choose when they are too young to know, like, am I ever going to go to France, or will I go to Germany, or will I go to Italy, or will I go to Czechia? It's true also, like English I will use everywhere, but will I ever need Estonian? Like it's this kind of thing. So I think it maybe comes later in life, once you have a project, you realize I'm going to need that language. And then there are people who just have a natural interest for languages and can be triggered by a song, by a book, by anything. But yes, in the North, English is a given and not the others, certainly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Nick.
This is what I call the English effect, right? So if you grow up in England, where English is the language of the country, because English is pervasive everywhere, English people, children, are not motivated to learn anything apart from English. But the people in Sweden, Denmark, and across Scandinavia often have two languages before they come to English. So Swedish, sometimes Estonian, sometimes Norwegian. They have a repertoire plus English. The English effect, however, possibly impacts when it becomes so ubiquitous. In the same way as in England, it prevents other languages, not the ones which are the native languages of the country, but French or German or Spanish or whatever, don't find their way in. Or if they are in, the kids are not motivated to learn them. When we found that in the survey line for the second language, the proficiency wasn't comparable with the first language.
Yes, absolutely, we see that. In the English-speaking countries, you have the same difficulty that the others have for the second foreign language. It's exactly for the same reasons. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you.